Alright, so in this video, we're still talking about our hobbies. However, we're going to talk about them using the third person singular. Now, what is the third person singular? That is he, she, or you, but in the polite form. So he in Spanish is él, she is ella, and then you in the polite form is usted. Now we use usted. You were previously introduced to tú, right? With the accent over the U. And that also means you. However, we use usted when we're talking to persons in authority. For example, when I greet you in the mornings and you will say muy bien gracias y usted. So that is the usted that we're referring to. So let's talk about them a little more. Él. Now, as I said before, él means he. Now, remember that he is a pronoun, so you might not always see él, but you can see the name of a boy, a male. So you might see a Johnny, you might see Matthew, you might see Justin, you might see Joshua. Alright? That's él. Now, ella means she. Now, she is also a pronoun, so you might not necessarily see ella, but you can see the name of a female. For example, Dejanel, Shakira, Zamoya, among others, right? So that is ella. Now, usted, as I was saying before, usted means you. But we use this when we are referring to persons who are in authority. As I said before, you were introduced to tú, and that also means you. However, we use tú when we're talking about your friends, or you're talking to your friend, right? And that was the second person singular. However, we're now focusing on using usted, and that is the third person singular, and it is formal or polite. So to find out what somebody else does in their free time, we ask the question, ¿Qué hace dash en su tiempo libre? Meaning, what does the person do in his or her free time? So whoever you are referring to would go on the line. So if you're talking about Bob, you would say, ¿Qué hace Bob? If you're talking about Ashley, you would say, ¿Qué hace Ashley? Alright, let's continue. So let's say, for example, you want to find out what Miguel does in his free time. So we would use the question, ¿Qué hace? And then Miguel would go on the line. So we get ¿Qué hace Miguel en su tiempo libre? Meaning, what does Miguel do in his free time? But we could also say, what does he do in his free time? And that question would be ¿Qué hace él? Because remember that él means he. So ¿Qué hace él en su tiempo libre? Meaning, what does he do in his free time? Entonces, therefore, the person you are referring to would go on the line. Now, para responder, to respond to the question, this is a simple structure. So you put the person you're referring to. So if it is Bobby, Michael, whoever you're referring to, dash en su tiempo libre. Meaning, Bobby, whatever the action is, in his or her free time. Alright? So the conjugated verb is what would go on the line right here. Alright? So Bobby dances, Bobby cooks, he dances, she cooks. Alright? So the verb would go on the line right there. But how is it that we conjugate a verb in the third person? Remember we said that the third person means he, she, or the you polite. So we want to know how we would say he does something, or she does something, or you, but the polite form, do something, right? So he sings in his free time, she cooks in her free time, you, the polite form, listen to music in your free time. So how is it that we conjugate the verb in the third person? Well, we can follow these steps. For AR ending verbs, we remove the AR and we're going to add an A. For ER ending verbs, we're going to remove the ER and then we're going to add an E. Now for the IR ending verbs, we're going to remove the IR and add an E. Now you will realize that the ER and the IR verbs, we remove the endings, and for both of them we add an E. Alright? So let us focus on my friend Maria. Now we want to find out what is it that Maria does in her free time. So, but let's say for example Maria is not available, right? So let's say Maria is asleep. So we ask her mother. So we want to find out what Maria does. So we say to her mother, ¿Qué hace María en su tiempo libre? Meaning, what does Maria do in her free time? Now to respond, the mother would say, María dash en su tiempo libre. Meaning, Maria, whatever the action is, in her free time. So the verb would go on the line right here. Now, according to Maria's mother, Maria dances in her free time. Now, the verb to dance in Espanol is bailar. Now, that is an AR verb. So, we are going to have to follow the steps for the AR ending verbs. So, we're going to, step 1, remove the AR. Step 2, we're going to add an A. So, let's conjugate bailar. Remember, we're taking off the AR and we're adding an A. So, when we remove the AR from bailar, we end up with bail. And then after we get bail, we're going to add an A. So we get baila. Alright? So remove the AR, we get bail. We add the A, we get baila. So the sentence would then read, María baila en su tiempo libre. Meaning Maria dances in her free time. So remember, to conjugate the AR ending verbs in the third person singular, remember third person is he, she, or the you polite. All you have to do for the AR verbs is this. You are going to remove the AR, take off the AR, then you're going to add an A. So for example, we had bailar, we took off the AR, then we added an A, and then we ended up with baila. Alright, let's continue. We're going to do an example with an ER ending verbs. Now remember, for ER ending verbs, we remove the ER and we add an E. So let's do comer. Now comer significa to eat. So we want to say he eats, she eats, or you, but the polite form, eat, right? So step 1, we're going to remove the ER. So when we take off the ER from comer, we take this off, we get COM. And then step 2 says that we should add an E. So when we add the E, we get come. So the sentences would look like this. Ella come, él come, and usted come. Alright? So remember, for the ER ending verbs, you just take off the ER and then you would add an E. Bueno, ahora let us do an example with an IR ending verb. For IR ending verbs, we're going to remove the IR and then we're going to add an E. Alright? So let's do escribir. Now, el verbo escribir significa to write. So the verb escribir means to write. So we want to say he writes, she writes, or you, the polite form, write, right? So we're going to remove the IR. So when we remove the IR from escribir, we end up with escribe. And then we add an E. When we add an E, we get escribe. Alright? So the sentences would then look like this. Ella escribe, él escribe, and usted escribe. Alright? So, when we are conjugating verbs in the third person singular, third person means he, she, or you, but the polite form. So, él, he, ella, she, and usted, you, but the polite form. Alright? Step 1, if it's an AR verb, you're going to remove the AR and add an A. If it's an ER verb, you're going to remove the ER and add an E. However, if it's an IR ending verb, you're going to remove the IR and add an E. Alright, adios. Thanks for watching.